Hi guys, welcome to Gamma Engineering Middle East, and today I have got Arri Alexa 35 Extreme with me, and I will explain some important settings which you should know about. We know that this camera records 660 frames per second, but before you shoot 660 frames per second, there are 6 things you should know about. First of all, if you're thinking of using any anamorphic lens in future and shoot 660 frames per second, you're gonna be quite limited, because when you go on 660 frames per second, the squeeze factor, the maximum squeeze factor which you can have is going to be 1.33. So if you are having any anamorphic lenses which are having more squeeze factor than 1.33, you might not be able to use them with this settings. Second thing is dynamic range. So if you're gonna shoot 660 frames per second, it's gonna go to the overdrive mode, which means it's gonna shift its dynamic range from 17 stops to 11 stops. So you're gonna lose 6 stops of dynamic range on that as well. Third thing is make sure that you have 2 terabyte cards, because if you're having 1 terabyte card and you're thinking of 660 frames per second, you'll not be able to record that. The maximum frame rate in 1 terabyte card is gonna be 505 frames per second. So if you want to shoot 660 frames per second, you have to make sure that you have 2 terabyte cards along with your Arri Alexa 35 Extreme. Fourth thing is gonna be base ISO. So basically we know that when we are going for this high frame rate, you need to go in overdrive mode, and then there your base ISO or exposure index range changes to 800 to 6400. So that is your range where you can be in, and your base ISO on that mode is gonna be 1600 ISO. Now ARRICORE, which we all have heard about, basically is a compressed raw format from Arri Alexa 35, and to shoot 660 frames per second we need to make sure that we are in ARRICORE codec, not in any other codec. Now on Arri website there is no simulator for Arri Alexa 35 Extreme till now, so let me just show you on the viewfinder how you can really go for 660 frames per second. So let's just jump into it. So first of all, I will go to the menus, and in menus I will change it from Arri Raw to ARRICORE, and once I do that, my camera will reboot. Now if I change my frame per second in ARRICORE, you can see in open gate resolution I can on 1 terabyte go 80 frames per second, and on 2 terabyte card I can go 120 frames per second. But that's not what we're looking for. We are looking for the highest frame per second, which is 660 frames per second as per Arri. So to do that, what you need to do is you need to go to menu again, and in here you need to go to recording and sensor mode, and in sensor mode you need to go either 2K or HD 16:9. So I'll go on 2K, so I have a bit more resolution. And if you see on 2K next to that, it's telling you on 1 terabyte card it will give you 330 frames per second, and on 2 terabyte it will also give you 330 frames per second. So that's the catch. How can we really go to 660 frames per second? I'll show you. So let me just do this first. And once I do that, the camera will reboot again, and then it will be in 2K 16:9 resolution and ARRICORE codec, and then I will show you how you can really do the 660 frames per second. Okay, now my camera is on, and if I go to my FPS, you can see it's giving me 330 frames per second. But you have a new thing here called overdrive, which is basically once I go to overdrive, I will lose 6 stops of dynamic range on that. We will have 11 stops of dynamic range. So I will go to overdrive, and in this you can have on 1 terabyte card 505 frames per second, and on 2 terabyte you can have 660 frames per second. So I'll confirm. So the camera is booting again now. So now you can see it's showing it's in overdrive mode. So what I will do is I will click on this and go to 660 frames per second, and it's giving me 16 minutes of recording time in 660 frames per second on 2 terabyte card. Now on shutter you cannot go more than 340 shutter. If you want to add, you can add, you cannot go more than that, just to let you know. After that, on ISO, if I show you, my exposure index is now from 800 to 6400, and the base is on 1600 now. Now let me just show you the squeeze factors for anamorphic lenses which you have on this. So if I go to my recording and project setting, in there On the lens squeeze factor, you can see it's not going more than 1.33. So if you are having any anamorphic lenses which are having more squeeze factor than 1.33, you might not be able to use them with this settings. Now I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.